we got up to Daf Mem Zayin in the Hebrew here. We're talking about the different features of the Beis HaMikdash in page 57 in the English. Different features in the Beis HaMikdash that are parallel, that run in parallel with Shabbos. Not yet. Thank you. The Shabbos yeshna halacha miuchedes l'levosh bigdei Shabbos. In Shabbos, there's a special din to wear clothing of Shabbos, right? So you heard the story I shared when I went to Panama, the wealthiest shul in the world, and everybody wears suits, and I forgot my Shabbos clothing at home and was wearing khakis. The part of the story I didn't share, which I meant to, was that the Shabbos beforehand, I saw someone in the afternoon, and he's wearing the same outfit, khakis and a polo, and I said, "Oh, you're dressed the way I would love to be dressed." If I, yeah, and then afterwards to someone else in the shul.
So you were already here?
No, this is a week beforehand. Oh. And then Mona said it, he smiled, but I said, I apologize and mean to embarrass you. I just meant, gentle. He said, no, gentle muster is good about the, so I did apologize, but I realized the next week, I said, I'm literally wearing the same outfit like he was wearing, and it was Mida Keneged Mida. It came back. But anyway, Shabbos clothing is a big part of Shabbos. I know. It wasn't right. It was my mouth. I gave my own. I predicted my own future. I said I wish I could, and I did. And then I wished. And then at that point, I wished I couldn't. But it is what it is. So the Shabbos yeshna halacha miuchedes l'levosh bigdei Shabbos. So a special din. We're on page Mem Zayin to wear bigdei Shabbos. Moshe Amar Chazal. Brachatz v'sachta v'samta sim lo sayich. Amar Rav Elazar, Elu begadim shel Shabbos. Big day Shabbos. One of the dinim we're supposed to wear special Shabbos clothing. I wear a suit every day. Sometimes I won't wear a tie, but I have special shirts I wear on Shabbos. I have my nicer suits that I wear on Shabbos, and then I downgrade either jacket and pants that aren't matching, or I'll downgrade the suit for the weekday because you have to wear a suit. So those of us who don't wear Shabbos clothing on the weekday, it makes it a lot easier. Sometimes I'll wear my hat Friday night. There's a special Shabbos garment. And during the day, talis over the head anyway, which is so you don't wear the hat. But the point is that there should be something special for Shabbos, l'chav Shabbos Kodesh.
I was just curious about this. Sometimes I have something for Shabbos that I've set aside, but then I want to rotate it into every day. Is that like...
No, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine when you get your new clothing. You downgrade the clothing. The Gemara talks about how clothing used to be worn. That when a husband would provide for his wife as part of the requirements of the ksufa, clothing was one of the requirements. And so the Gemara notes that when finances were limited, you would provide clothing for the winter and clothing for the summer. Winter clothing was usually thicker, and then summer was usually worn out at that point because you didn't need a heavy material. So you bought it new in the winter. So understand that we have times in which we buy it new and then it gets downgraded to used. That's true. It's true during the year. It's true on Shabbos. I downgrade the clothing when I buy new suits and new clothing to weekday clothing. And then the other should be given away if it's still in good shape. I have a running bottle like that that just keeps spraying water while I'm running. It's depleted with time.
Has there been a decline in Shabbos clothes? We had, for whatever reason, we had kids attacking our kiddush table last week, and I'm looking at all the little boys, and they're in shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah, it's a scopy thing, I think.
Shabbos clothes.
It could be a summer thing, could be a communal thing. It depends on the community. It's also as different expenses are coming up, I think what's happening is you see your child will outgrow a suit. You buy him a suit, and I had a suit when I was little, but you outgrow the suit in half a year, and it's just not worth the money. So you buy nice slacks and a polo, and then once they're old enough to be wearing it, and certain people are just not going to wear it. Like certain.
Growing up, we never wore shorts and Shabbos. That was not a thing.
Right. Well, it depends on the community also. I think there are different communal standards, exactly. But anyway, the notion of wearing nicer clothing Shabbos comes from the Gemara and Shabbos of Kofi Umis.
Like in the Chumash, like in the days when we had maybe only one set of clothing, that just washing, because I thought I read or something that you should wash the clothes for Shabbos as opposed to
if you only have one pair, then one set of clothing, certainly it's better to wash it for Shabbos. Cue the classic Mr. Bean scene where he's in the laundromat. He decides to wash the clothing that's on him while he's there, and inadvertently reaches for his pants, but it's someone else's skirt that he puts on, walking around in a skirt. Fantastic scene.
I've never seen
Um,
that.
So yeah, brilliant physical comedy. So you remind me of a Reb Nachman story of a poor couple who only had one jacket and they would share it and they would switch it back and forth. Okay, for Inyan ze nilma big dekuna, minayin l'shina begada min Torah. How do I know that you're supposed to change your clothing from the Torah? There's a Torah source that Shnemar, Pashat es begadav lavash begadim acherim. It says that he removed his clothing and he wore other clothing. Harei lanu should big day Shabbos him kein big day kahuna. That way, just as Aaron a Kohen, or this is his son, right? Elazar, he would change his clothing. Big Day Shabbos has the same concept. The Kohen would go into the temple and change his clothing. The Kohen would go into the Kodesh Kodashim and change his clothing. Ke'en big nikuna, ukeshem shebeis hamikdash ayu kohanim begadim yuchadim kach Shabbos Kodesh nitztavinu lilvosh big day Shabbos. Just as you change the clothing for the Beis Hamikdash and for the Kodesh Kodashim every level up, so too we learn that Shabbos requires a special change. B'derech klal, habegadim hamivatim es pnimiosu shel ha'adam. Clothing expresses the inner expressions of who man is. Big day kahuna heim be'etzem big day malachim. Kohanim wear the clothing of angels. Gavriel malach nikra ish lavush abadim. The person who wears badim is material, bad. Usually linen or could be wool. Shenichnasim leveis hamikdash, when he goes into the temple, kol hachaim mirukozim saviv avodas Hashem Yisparach. All of life is centered on the avodah of Hashem. L'chein lovshim begadim shel malachei elkim. That's why at that moment when it's just a godly endeavor, you wear the clothing of angels. You wear the clothing that's appropriate for that malacha. When you get to Shabbos Kodesh, big day malchus. You put on the clothing of that is worthy of a king. Think about malchus these days. So much in the news about kings and queens. Zicharni, I remember Yossi Yeled Williamsburg. I remember when I was a kid in Williamsburg. Hayalanu Shachen Echad, we had one neighbor, Baal Bayis Shemalachto Haisa Pshuta Pshutos. He had the simplest job. V'inei begia Shabbos Kodesh v'yisif shu chovesh al rosho strymol ador hider. He would wear this beautiful strymol on his head. V'gia Shabbos Kodesh v'yisif shu chovesh al rosho strymol hider. V'mitasif bekafta. He'd wear a special long coat, me'il in prachim, marhivim, with flowers and a beautiful design. V'im zekano hamegudal nitin hu lachshoshu admor kodesh. And the way he looked with his long beard, and the fancy coat, and the hat, you thought he was some Hasidic Rebbe. Pashat lo hikartio, so I didn't even recognize him. Rav Soloveitchik has a similar story about a porter who wore ripped clothing, and on a Shabbos he wore Shabbos clothing, and it was like Malchus, and you would say it didn't even look like the same person. So there's something about Shabbos that changes its expression about who you are, and that you look like a different person altogether. Truth is that Shabbos is you become a holier person, and on a higher level, right? Shekain ma'u admor. What is admor? Admor means right. It's an expression for it's acronym for the different accolades, the different descriptors of a great Talmid Chacham. Adam shechayav mukdashim avodas Hashem b'kedusha v'tara. An admor, a Hasidic Rebbe's person, they reserve this person to be just the avodas Hashem. There's no hole in their life, right? They are the source of ruchnius in the Hasidic line. According to the Sfarim of the writings of Eli Melech of Luzhensk, Noam Eli Melech, who basically his focus is all on tzaddik. The role of the tzaddik of the community is to be a constant reminder to us of who we're supposed to be, and that they're only osik in kedusha. They're all kodesh kedoshim at all times. So, hu lo misanyain b'shum davar acher. He's not engaged in anything else. Kami hudi zeh b'Shabbos eno marim es a telephone. Don't pick up the phone. Lo holach to the bank. Ose asakim. You're not engaged in business. Every moment of his life, his mukdash is set aside for avodas Hashem. That's what the clothing represents. I'll just share two interesting asides. So sometimes when we are engaged in something, even our sometimes we're engaged in something that's so holy it requires shino begadim also. So there are all these Hasidic stories about people who would wash their hands and put on a coat before sharing a Torah, right? Reb Shlomo tells a story about the holy hunchback. You know the story? The holy hunchback it was an old man, a survivor who was disfigured as a result of the abuses he suffered in the Shoah. And when he heard his accent, he asked where he was from. He said he's from Piazetzna, and he said, "Do you know the Piazetzna Rebbe? Do you know the Eish Kodesh?" He said, "I did." He said, "Well, can you teach me something of his?" He said, "I don't remember anything after what I've been through." And then Shlomo said to him, "Well, for sure you remember, because who could forget the Piazetzna Rebbe?" And as he was convinced to share a memory, he washed his hands and put on his coat and his gartel before sharing a story about this, that I'm about to engage in something that's separate. I'll also remind you.
Is the
Piazetzna, it's a place.
Piazetzna. Is that the one that was in the Warsaw Ghetto?
Yeah, he was one of the
it's
Warsaw.
an
He was the one who wrote down the Eish Kodesh in the Warsaw Ghetto.
And he's called Eish Kodesh?
They call me Eish Kodesh.
There's a shul I know in Long Island.
It's named after him, yeah.
Right, and years ago, when I was in Neve, this girl gave me this pink booklet, and it's something about 7 things of faith, and it's from the
Piazetzna Rebbe.
It's very powerful book. Have you ever seen it? It's this little pink like bracelet.
I don't know about that, but I've learned to Svarim, and I love his
you
Svarim.
have?
Yeah, love his
Is it
Svarim.
easy to learn Eish Kodesh? Would you say?
So the Piazetzna Rebbe has a number of Svarim. He has a book he wrote before the war on the Parsha, which is like heavy Hasidus and Lamdas as well. It's harder. He's got books on education, 3 levels. The first one is for younger students and then married and older. And each one gets more complicated and more in depth. And then he's got, those are all written in the Shoah, during the Shoah, and buried underneath and found by a Polish worker. And he wrote the Eish Kodesh, which is his Torahs on the Parsha during the war. So every time you'll see, that's heavy material. It's very heavy. So it's like he'll say something and he'll share with theology about suffering. And what's interesting about that is his approach to suffering evolves over the course of the 3 years that he survived, and he died eventually. He was killed. He was
In the
I
Shoah?
think it was after he was Treblinka, maybe.
Oh,
It could be, but his approach to suffering changes, evolves. It starts out with, if you do good, God will save you. It's the standard equation, Tzadik v'Tovlo, Rasha v'Rolo, and it changes over time. So there's a whole study on audio. But anyway, that's one story. Another story I'm thinking of changing clothing is when, and this is one of my favorites, is that I think it was Varn Lichtenstein, if I'm not mistaken, was asked about whether a soldier wearing his dirty uniform that was covered in whatever it was covered in had to change before davening. And he said that this is his big day malchus. This is his big day kuna, that a soldier who is in the army, that's the attitude, it's a religious Zionist attitude. The third one is, my favorite, is when Aaron is dying, preparing to die, Hashem instructs him to remove his clothing and put it on his son Elazar. And that was outside of the temple. And actually, it's forbidden to wear the big dekuna, or to dress his son outside of the Mishkan. You're not allowed to wear that clothing outside. It's actually a violation. So how was he able to do so? It's Elah misappropriating kachim. So I once heard an explanation from Rabbi Yosef Cohn, who said that when a person is involved in educating children, that is the Holy of Holies. And so it's as if he could wear that clothing in that moment. That's the greatest thing in the world. So interesting ideas about wearing clothing and how it expresses the holiness of what we're engaged in, or the time we're in at that moment, the place we're in, time, place, or engagement. Those are the 3-pronged levels of Kedusha. Then we move into the menorah. Menorah, Beis Hamikdash has a menorah. There was a menorah. Shabbos Kodesh. We light candles on Shabbos. And all the things that were replicated in the Beis Hamikdash were also in the tent of Sarah, and those are the things we do on Shabbos as well. Hine, right, we have the challah, the fresh challah, the lights, Shechina above. Hine, but menorah Beis Hamikdash has shlosh mitzvos. There were 3 mitzvos when it came to the menorah. Shtayim mehen before Samos Yoser. 2 of them are famous. Achas pachos yidua. One of them is lesser known. Hashtayim rishonos hein mitzvos hadlakas neros umitzvos hatavas haneros. The two that we know about are lighting the candles and cleaning out the wicks, which would happen in the morning before lighting. Halakas neros hakavana kipshuto. The kavana was, as is understood, lahadlikas neros menorah. Atovs neros haisa mitzvahs miuchedes lahachinas menorah shetiad reuya lalaka, to prepare for lighting the next lighting. Shitas Rambam, according to Rambam, hayam motzias hashemen and psilos yishanos. Rambam said you would have to take out the oil and take out the old wicks, umachnis chadashos, and enter and bring in new ones. Zoe mitzvahs asay deoraisa. This is a positive commandment, deoraisa from the Torah. Rakon yachal hayelakaima, and the only one who could fulfill this mitzvah of cleaning out the wicks was the Kohen. It wasn't like a job you gave to someone and felt it was beneath you. The highest thing in the world was cleaning out the wicks. Sometimes cleaning out as a preparatory step is also a holy job. So lamadati halacha zu. That's why, by the way, in the months that we have Hanukkah, we have Kislev, which hidden Lamed Vav, Kas Lamed Vav, 36 hidden candles. We light 36 candles. We move into Teves, which is the Hatavas Haner, says Bnei Saschar. Hatavas Haner means they're preparing for the wicks. As we move out of Hanukkah, we're preparing the vessels for afterwards, for the dark winter. I learned when I was a chassan. Sorry, I skipped a paragraph. We have these two mitzvahs in Shabbos. What are they? Halakas and Eir Shabbos, Shmutel Nashim, which is given priority to women. Women have the priority in that mitzvah over men. Tamadavar, and why do women do it? There's 3 reasons. Brought down, Mishum Shanashim Hein Bechinas HaKohanim, Shal Bayis, they're considered the Kohen of the house. He's alluding to one of the reasons brought down in the Rishonim, which is that women make peace in the house more than men, and basically lighting candles in a dark house is a step towards peace. If you have a dark house and you're walking around, you can't see anything, you're gonna trip over everything, you're gonna lose everything, and that's not conducive towards peace. So women who are the peacemakers, and here he's suggesting that women are the Kohanim of the house. Yeshna mitzvah nosafes shel Hatavas Haneros is also another element of Hatavas Haner. Omar hakafanas petumim, preparing the wicks that they should light easily. Pouring oil in advance of Shabbos if you do oil. Psilas. Mishnah Berurah Mevi b'shem hakadmonim. There's a minhag brought down in the name of the earlier scholar, that if possible, the husband should try to do this. In other words, yes, it's true. Anyone can prepare the candles, anyone can light the candles, right? A man living alone lights the candles and prepares them. A woman living alone lights the candles and prepares them. But for some reason, the mitzvah of Hatavas Haner was given over to the Ish, and the mitzvah of Halakas Haner was given over to the Isha. Lamadati, so that's why there's a special minhag to pre-light the candles before Shabbos, because if you'll notice, you light a new wick, it doesn't light as well. If you light a pre-lit wick, and you blow it out and you light it again, it lights very quickly. It's pchamim, it's like a same mechanism as charcoal. Why does charcoal light? It's been lit already and it's easy to burn now. It's easy.
You're supposed to light it and blow it out?
Yeah, pre-light it. That's Hatavas Haner, and get it singed, and then like earlier, and then when you're ready to light.
Anytime on Erev Shabbos?
Yeah, get it ready to light. Or at the very least, if you're not going to do that, at the very least, pour the oil beforehand, set it up. Hatavas Haner means setting it up, with preparation to make it easier. We do that by hamotzi for a different reason. We have a pre-cut before we cut, because we want to do sear to it. We want to basically limit the interruption between the bracha and the consumption. In Cain. So again, I learned on al-chasen, lamati alacha yosu chasen, shlachti l'chnos petumos over alach ala, when I went to buy the preparation, the wicks, the candles for the kala, hayusham petumos mikushatos, harbe iturim. They were very fancy candle abras, right? And candlesticks, right? I believe some of them were really fancy.
Fancy decorated candles.
Different, right? Amra Ali. Az Baila Sachanos, the owner of the store, said to me, she said, Haemes Shedai Kasha Linkos Esa Petumas Halolo. These are fancy, but it's very hard to clean these. Achatate Asezos, Zu Mitzvah Shochal Linkos Petumas Halolo. And she said to me, but you have a mitzvah, so you'll clean them. Make sure that this is going to be hard to clean out, but that's your mitzvah. In Cain. Habal Mechinas Aneros Vaisha Madlika Osan, Kachai de halakas neros, shikein halakas menorahs azov. Beis hamikdash is parallel to the halakas neros of the golden menorah in the temple. Notzeres v'vayis achtos harmonia moshelos ben abal ishto. What do? We create peace, husband and wife, because they're working together towards bringing light into the home. Light brings peace. Peace is a dual effort. Each one has to do. This is a great word for under chobah, right? To bring peace, everybody has to do their part. Then there was a third mitzvah in the temple. What was the third mitzvah? Mitzvah yuchedesh beis hamikdash tia menorah. That there should be a menorah in the temple. Right? We don't talk about that, but there had to be a menorah there. He also had his mitzvahs. The Ravid is one of the commentaries on the Rambam. His son was named Rabbi Yitzchak, a Rishon. That if that which holds the oil is not a vessel, you purchase something that can't hold up over time. The summon boas hashemen harez a puzzle. That if it's a vessel, it's going to fall apart, like a one-time use, and you have to hold it up and you have to put something under it. You shouldn't use that. It's actually not good to use as a candle for Shabbos. You have to light within the menorah kli. You can move on malcha. So he's saying, imagine you had a vessel and the oil is going to kind of go out of it, and it's going to draw, the wick's going to draw it from another vessel, right? So would you be able to turn on your stovetop and say that's the Chavod Shabbos Kodesh? Now probably you'd be Yotzi b'di'evid if you did that. It's actual flame, right? Probably Yotzi b'di'evid, turning it on. But the point is, if it's drawing from another source, the whole question is, you're not. It's not. There's no kli. There's no vessel containing the fuel.
At the same time, he's also saying you can't just like stand a candle up, and like it needs to be in a vessel.
Sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a vessel that would have to hold it in it, that would hold the source, the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're in vessels. They're in little.
Yeah, but it's leak out or it could not. It's
So you have to
temporary.
Right. So you probably have to put them in. You got to put them in a clay. Right. You'd be Yotzi, but it sounds like there's a hider to put it in a vessel, right? Like you shouldn't put it on a table.
If I'm like traveling ever, I just bring tea lights.
Right, but those tea lights aren't they in a little foil
little
thing?
silver
Yes,
thing.
that's the clay. That's the difference. You buy the regular tea lights that are not like that. They don't come in those things. You know why? That's the reason. If you ever see those decorative tea lights, they come
like
just
put in, like,
yeah. Right now, if you put it in a vessel, you're probably fine. But if you just put it on a sheet of aluminum foil, it probably wouldn't be Mekayim this mitzvah. Something new. So when we have to light the shul, make sure that the tea lights that have a little thing in it for this shita of the Bnei Yitzchak and arrive it. Pemutos rather mikesef. We buy silver candlesticks. Kia pemutos hein kein menorah. Zeo chelek bilti nifrad memitzvah sadakas ner Shabbos. To have a nice decorative candlestick, right, is supposed to remind us of menorah, and to use metal, I guess silver reminds gold.
yeah, he
That's
says it down here. Said menorah in the base of the system preferably made of gold. Silver is also considered a worthy material.
Yeah. Right. So you're traveling. Tin didn't exist back then, but that's a metal too. Don't use solder. Right. That will it's a very low melting point.
Yeah, that'll
right?
just melt.
Yeah.
What about glass? People think about glass.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's mechubad, but he's giving some sort of chomer that he's holding here. I don't know what the source is, but okay. So he's just whatever, something mechubad. Okay, rechitza, washing. So now we've covered clothing and the menorah and the rechitza washing. Kasher kohen nichnas beis hamikdash, when the kohen enters the temple. Yesh no din shor rechitza yadayim. There's a halacha. They have to wash your hands, raglayim, and your legs. Or nowadays, the only people who do this are people who go up to Har Bayis, or when Muslims pray, they wash their hands and legs. That comes from the temple service. If you don't wash your hands and legs, avodah is not kasher. This is what was passed in halacha. El shayu b'zeh shtei dargos. There are two levels here. Ikar adinhu rechitzos yadayim raglayim, washing your hands and legs. Chazal osiva shekohen lo yaseh avodaso beis hamikdash al she'ad yidvol kul b'mikvah. And you can't. The Chazal added that the kohen is not allowed to do his avodah until he goes to the mikvah. Enam nichnas lazar lavoda afilu tahor ad yidvol chamesh tefillos, is to dip 5 times. Yoma. Kain zeh legabe Shabbos. Shabbos also. Muva halacha, Shulchan Aruch writes, mitzvah larchotz kol gufo, it's a mitzvah to wash for Shabbos. V'im efshar, if it's impossible to do so, yirchotz panav v'yadav v'raglav bechamin be'er Shabbos. At least wash your hands, face, your legs for Shabbos. Rab nogim gam litval b'mikvah shchol Shabbos. And of course, many have the minhag to go to the mikvah before Shabbos, especially Hasidim had that custom.
And it's legs, not feet.
Well, yeah, ragos, legs, feet.
Isn't it the same word for both?
I think we don't mean legs. I didn't mean legs.
Your hand leg up, roll it up over your knee and.
I didn't mean legs, not feet. I meant the lower legs, the legs and feet. All right. Okay. Hashulchan. Then we have the table. It's a mikdash isa mitzvahs. Mitzvah shulchan is to have a table. Zeh shulchan, that's the table. Ashilifnei Hashem for Nagad ke'ein zeh metzinu gam shulchan Shabbos kamon motzi manu kavanas michadas v'shulchan Shabbos heichan hu munach. How is the Shabbos table placed? Ki zehu shulchan me'ena shulchan Shabbos mikdash. Why would they dictate the details of how you're supposed to place the table for Shabbos? Because this was the Beis HaMikdash table. Ma'osim be'es yoshim al shulchan. How do you sit at the table? Make Yisrael lashir smiras, to sing songs for Shabbos. Enam stam zmiras, they're not just miras. So avodim yichadash al shira. This is the shira of the Beis HaMikdash. Wow, you're not just singing nice songs, right? Ein shiras haLeviim sheis Beis HaMikdash. You are mimicking the songs of Levites. In Divrei Chazal, Nira Od. Shayminag be'am Yisrael la'aniach shoshanim al shulchan. There's a minhag to put flowers on the table. La'yavor reach tov, maybe for the good smell. K'mo shematzinu b'medrash. Ma shoshana zu mitukenes l'shavos yom tovim kach Yisrael. Just as the flower was placed, specifically the rose was placed for Shabbos and Yom Tov, so do the Jewish people, right? Are I don't know what the rest of the medrash says, but it's described as the Shoshana ben Achochim. Right, that's the pasuk in Shosher. Lifamim ani kone kama shoshan Shabbos. Sometimes I'll buy flowers for Shabbos. Kama alachti l'chanut. Raiti sham shoshanim niflot. I saw really nice flowers. Bikashti mamocher shiyaroz li shoshanim, to arrange for me roses. V'az hu shaloti sheila mufla. Kama, how many? Hamash nidhamti ani yodea shechasim kone lakala tresa shoshanim. I knew that you're supposed to buy. I know this minhag. 12 roses. Should be 24. Olai liknos kolachanu. Maybe I should buy the whole store. Three. I figured, okay, we have three. You have to know for whom you're buying the flowers. Interesting.
So when you're a guest, you shouldn't actually bring the flowers.
You could add to the ambiance of the Shabbos table. Yeah, sure, why not? So you're buying for the Chabad Hashem, the house of God. The Shulchan of Shabbos is the Beis HaMikdash table. So you're buying it for the host, but you're also really buying it that they should have a Shabbos atmosphere. When you buy wine for a guest, a host, you're buying they should have wine for a Shabbos atmosphere, right? Yeah, Rav Bina used to tell his students, "Don't bring me flowers." Not to his voice. Don't bring me flowers when flowers die. Just bring me something useful like toilet paper next time you come to my house.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But here we have the Chabad.
But I think
Yeah.
You like flowers? You like flowers, yeah. Yeah, it's good. It says he's saying it's for Hashem. It's for the beautiful, meaning put it this way, you're making the home more beautiful. You could do it with plastic flowers also. Yeah.
What am I? Yeah, I see it differently now. I like
Achilas kachim, eating kachim. Finally, even the way we eat in the Beis HaMikdash was not regular eating. Hamakr of carbon Beis HaMikdash. One brings the carbon in the temple, and a Kohen, the carbon Shlomim Gam Yisrael Bal carbon, or the owner of the carbon could be a Yisrael, a non-Kohen. I am a Kabbalah Manash of Basar Kodesh. You would purchase a portion of meat. Matzina Mishnah Kedushin, Hamekadish Bechelko, Ben Kadje Kadjim, Ben Kadje Kalam, Eina Mekudeshes. One who sanctifies their own portion it doesn't become Kodesh. Adam kibel minat basar Kodesh, urotz lekadosh ba'isha, Omar latet la zos. Oh, sorry, mekadesh bechelko. He means he is proposing to his wife with a piece of meat. He has a steak. Maybe it's filet mignon. Maybe it's filet mignon, and there's the hole from the sciatic nerve, and so yeah, that's a good. At least Vardim will shecht. We'll do nikor anyway. So person gets married, piece of meat. It's a real romantic. Ana mikudeshes. He's not married. Why? This meat belonged to Kachim. If it belonged to the temple, you can't use that which belongs to the temple to get married. You could use a piece of meat normally, but not a meat that belonged to the temple. Yeah, we're not. No, today we use kesef. The minhag is because you're supposed to get married kesef shtar. So kesef is the minhag under the chuppah, and we use equivalent of kesef, which is a ring. But it's because you have to use shava kesef.
You could use meat, even though.
You could use money.
after you eat it, it's gone.
It would be a question whether the witness would have to evaluate whether it's worth a pruta.
Meat
Doesn't smell sure, a piece of meat
Well,
nowadays
yeah.
at least would be worth a fruit of it. But
Today.
it's not, it's just like it's gone, then you have nothing to prove that you actually.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to hold on to your ring forever.
What did you do with my ring? I ate it.
Meat, he's saying if you took the meat from the base.
The Gemara is saying
any meat.
No, it's saying
Oh.
hektish meat. Basic
Oh,
meat.
oh.
Yeah. Adam kibel manas basar kodesh who wrote to likadosh ba'isha wants to marry his wife with this. Klamar la zos b'makom tabas instead of a ring. Then to say harei mekadesh li not basar zu. Behold, you're married to me with this piece of meat in accordance with the laws of Moshe Israel. And mekadeshes, you're not married. Why not? Madua. Has to be his own money. He would have to use his own steak, not God's steak. I was at a wedding. Where's the ring? Started to look. Pashpesh bikisav, and he was going through his pockets. Couldn't find the ring. Ross Azos Imo Vamra and by no problem. I have a ring. Take this from Kachos. I've done this. This happened at weddings. Kachos Bekadish Baz Kala married Kala with this. Tokade Kachos Shita Livno Chosen Esa Tabas. Give this one low. You can't do this. Atzar Bada Harav who lo Yochol Kajisha in Tabas Ashayach Limo. Can't marry his wife with his mother's ring because it doesn't belong to him. Amar ima tov. You need no sense law says Matana Gemara. I'll give a gift. She gave it a gift, and then they can marry her. I actually tried, even if I don't have my wallet on me at a wedding, if I'm doing a chuppah, I usually have cash on me. So if this happens and there's a mishap, if they buy a ring, I give the chassan money, and he has to purchase a ring from someone, so he owns the ring beforehand. Yeah.
Like
So
with
he
his
owns it.
mother and say,
No, let's say he loses the ring.
we could turn to his
So,
mother and
yeah.
say for the ring.
Yeah.
$2.
I give 20. I give him 20 as the wedding.
Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah, one time recently. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
couldn't find the ring. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they don't know what happened. They found it after the chuppah. Yeah,
So then he could give it to him. He could be
yeah, it was a ring. It was a piece of jewelry. It wasn't what they got married with, but they got married with the mother's ring. In the Beis Hamikdash, you may chasen lokech basar kodesh omer leisha harei mekadesh li lo haisa mekadesh. They wouldn't be married. Hatam mevor shem gemara mishum shem shulchan gavoa kazachu, because they are taking that which belongs to God. Fine. Ma kavanav. What does this halacha teach us? You can't take food that belongs to God and use it for yourself. Let's say you're going out for lunch to a friend. Yeshna machloket ben poskim hima ochel hazeh shu ochel shayach lo. Whose food is it that you're eating? Are you eating your food or are you eating the host's food? Who cares? Can I take it to my house? This is, by the way, there's a question by Tchum Shabbos. If you're within a certain limit, whose food is it? We paskin in the Mishnah in the end of Beitzah that Tchum Shabbos follows the host because it's host's food, even though he's sharing with the guest. Unless he gifted to him before Shabbos. So therefore, if you want to take home food and you're outside of the tchum of the host's house, you're not allowed to take the food home, even if he gives you permission, because you can't travel carrying something beyond. Oh, you can't travel with it. The food can't travel beyond its tchum of 2,000 amos. So he's asking a different question: is it stealing? If I go to a home and I take it home, is it whose food is it? Or he gave it to me? No. Either way.
Shabbos, you could take it.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Hold on.
Okay, stay tuned.
So there's a machlok poskim. Nafkamina im yochel lakachto im olechel beso. But beis mikdash ain't machloket. In the temple, there's no machlokas. Everyone agrees that it belongs to God. Yehudi shachal basar kodesh. Hu achol al shulchan shulchan baruch. He's eating on God's table. Mila basar olam lo yel shelo. It's not his. Lo yuchal kadosh v'isha can't marry anyone with it. He's not going into the machlokas, by the way. Sorry, Shira. It was just a tangent.
So he, not only was he gonna take the food, he was gonna marry someone?
No, he's saying.
If the reason why you can't take the food from the temple and marry someone with it is because it's completely God's. It's on God's table. You're not allowed to bring it out. Gam b'shulchan Shabbos. Sorry.
Sorry, they used to, I thought that all that food was just like Hashem would put it in a fat food. I mean, I didn't think they were eating in the.
Some of the food was consumed there. Depends on the korban. Shlamim was consumed. The korban pesach is a shlamim.
Like just the Kohen standing there eating?
Depends on the korban. Certain korbanos were consumed. Chatas was consumed by the Kohen. Shlamim was consumed also by the Baal, by the owner, the person who brought it. Parts were burnt. And then the Ola is entirely burnt. Different korbanos have different activities. You get there at the end of Mishnais in 6 years.
So
Cover all
we
this
brought
stuff.
the food there, but then it's Hashem's now. As we bring it.
What's he saying? That the table, your table, or somebody eating at someone else's table, that it's stealing if you.
Well, let's see. He's developing it now. So
What if you have, you put it on your plate and you don't want to eat it anymore, and then, it's like.
So whose food are you wasting, yours or his? Is that the
Well,
question?
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, in theory, the food's still there. Just they may not want to eat it.
Nobody's gonna eat it after it's on the
Right.
plate. So it's in the glass.
Right. Well, let's see what he does with this. Kach gam b'shulchan Shabbos. When it comes to Shabbos, eineni bo l'lamed halacha l'ma'asim b'shamekdash ish mekash isha be'ochel Shabbos lo tiyeh mekudeshes. I'm not trying to teach you the halacha that if you try to get married with Shabbos food, you are not you're not considered married. Ach mikol comes miros shel Shabbos an omrim do yisuda datika kadisha. This is in the one of the miros in the Aramaic. This is the Suda, Dohi Sudasa, Datika Kadisha, the ancient one, the ancient holy one. Right? This is the Suda of the ancient one. Pam Shalti Mishu, sorry? Yeah. Ma Kasav Kam, what is this about? We are inviting God to our table. Marti Lo, actually, the opposite is true. Kan Kasav Shanachnu or Chim Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu. We are the guests of God at his table. Zeu HaShulchan Shelo. This is his table. Hu Baal Habayis. He's the owner of the house. As if we are guests at God's table. So there's all sorts of halachos, questions in halacha. Can you take Shabbos food away from the table? Who does it belong to? There's questions of that could be the owner, could be God. It's questions of here we have whose table are you sitting at? This idea in Zmiros. Ki Shabbos Kodesh hu ke'ein beis hamikdash. Shabbos is the temple. We sit by the table of God. We eat foods that as if God has paid for. And so we have in our clothing, in our dress, in our food, in our table, in all of our anhagos, Shabbos, our songs, there's miros. We are recreating the temple at that table.
If you're sitting at Hashem's table when you're eating your Shabbos meal, so therefore, are you allowed to save the food for leftovers? Are you allowed to,
So are there any halachic nafkaminas? He's not here to talk about that, but it could be that it could be that it's worse to waste food and let it go into garbage. Right?
I don't think that's what he's saying.
He's not going into
saying there is a machloket when you're at someone's Shabbos table. Whose food is it? But no one says that about the Beit Hamikdash. Everyone says that's Hashem's food, and that's kind of what the Shabbos table is like. That
Yeah, but he's not giving you any halachic ramifications of
The
that.
last line, he's saying, you're about Kodesh, in the Kodesh, it's like.
So I wonder if anyone brings down the question, say Malam Kodesh Maridin, we go up in Kiddush, we don't go down. So we're not allowed to sell a Sefer Torah, for instance, to purchase a Chumash. But I wonder if we say that by Shabbos food, can you serve Shabbos food on a Sunday night? If you don't, it's going to go to waste. So you kind of have to, but I'm not sure. It's an interesting question. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.